Can you tell us your name, please?
My name is Lamise Chatou.
Awesome. And how long have you been a BCBA?
I have been a BCBA for 4 years now.
Great. And how long were you in an ABA related field prior to that?
I was not. So prior to being a BCBA, I was a special education teacher for 4 years. So heard about ABA, know about ABA, but more of in an educational based environment.
Okay, cool. And that kind of leads me into the next question. What led you toward this career path?
So I started out with the idea and the intention of teaching, and that's what I did. I taught high school life skills classroom, and I knew that kind of the retirement age was getting pushed back
Mhm.
and pushed back, and I was 4 years in, and I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this till I'm 65, and I didn't want to do administration, but I really liked working with that population. And I actually reached out to a professor of mine, and he said, you should take a look into ABA. And I did, and kind of brought me to on the BCBA track.
Great. And then where did you do your coursework through? Was it an in-person program, an online program?
I did mine through University of Washington. It was an in-person year and a half intensive program. I am an in-person person, so I really liked that it was like we had a cohort, we could study together, I could see them. I learned better with that face-to-face platform, and I got it in and got it done.
And during that time, did they provide fieldwork experience opportunities, or were you accumulating those hours toward the BACB requirements through your SPED program?
Oh, that's a good question. We had a practicum.
Hmm.
So I worked at the UW. UW actually had an autism center, so it
Yeah,
was really nice. So I got to work there with some doctoral students, and then my professor kind of ran
the
the
field
autism
work.
center. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. What prominent figures in the industry inspire you and why?
That's a really good question. I think I actually think a lot of I had some really really great professors. I had one professor at UW that she spent many years in the field of IT,
Hmm.
working on IT, and then her son was diagnosed, and she did this complete 180. I mean, talk about going from IT technology to
Right.
kind of that human service field. Um, Got her doctorate, became a professor, has written some books. So I think that just like her whole mindset and her like the way she thought about things was really cool because she had that perspective of a parent, also someone coming from a whole nother career based path. And then being a professor. So she kind of really inspired me. Not, we don't necessarily have to look at things one way. We can take different approaches to things.
Great. Um, and then I know a BCBA can wear many hats. Can you talk about some of the different roles throughout your career and then go into a little bit more depth with your current role?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think something really kind of unique to me is I've been an educator and I've also been a BCBA. So I have ran IEP meetings, as I'm sure many of you are familiar with, individual education plans. So I've ran them, and then I've also come as a BCBA, so as an advocate for the family.
Mhm.
Being on both sides of that table is really interesting, and I feel like has really benefited me because I see that educator perspective, and then I also see that perspective from the parent. And I think if you're able to do that as a BCBA, is dabble in different roles, it really helps you. I feel like provide better care for the family as well as for the child. My current role now, so I work for Funding Source, I work for Care Oregon. So I kind of work more now behind the scenes. I review treatment plans. I meet with medical directors. So when we get a treatment plan in requesting ABA services, we have a medical necessity based criteria that I run it through. If it doesn't meet that, we have two medical directors on staff, and I sit with them and I talk about them. Here's what the ABA provider is requesting. Here is what they're recommending. Here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? So it's definitely a lot more paperwork, a lot more computer time than being out in the field. I think that it would be much harder for me to do this job if I didn't have that field experience. I can take a look at a treatment plan. It says daily living skills. It says toilet training. I know exactly what they're doing and what it looks like in real time. What we write on paper sometimes tends to look different in practice and theory. So I think that it's that piece is really great for me. I also meet, I'll meet quarterly with the different ABA providers, kind of updates on their processes, updates on our processes. We talk about funding, what it is they need, what it is we need. So it is kind of neat too, because I get to see all of ABA within the entire state, different providers that are popping up, providers that I think might be great to be contracted with us. So it has kind of broadened my scope on the whole field of ABA.
Cool. With your current role, what would a typical day look like? Are you in an office? Are you in the field? Are you set hours? What does that look like on a typical day?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, one great thing about transitioning for me was I kind of like structure and stability. And so I am more of a daytime shift person now from kind of working in the field, having more of those evening hours. So now I work Monday through Friday. I have weekends off, and I am in an office. So I am not, I do not have any contact with providers or families. I'm sorry, I don't have any contact with families. I do speak with like referring providers, doctors who made an ASD diagnosis, so I have additional questions on, but I'm not working directly with families. I'm in an office setting, in a cubicle. I also have the option and the ability to work from home, but it is your daytime, 8 to 5, 7 to 4 hours.
Great. And what would you say is the hardest thing about your job?
Ooh, I think probably one of the hardest things about it, good and bad, is I don't have that relationship with families anymore. I'm not directly seeing that progress that you see when you're out in the field. So, you know, that is good and bad. I don't have that high stress level that you have when you're in the field. But then I also don't get to see those gains that are made. So you got to take in the good with the bad. But that is a piece that I do miss.
Yeah. And last question, what advice would you give to a newly certified BCBI?
Oh, newly certified PCBI. That's a very good question. I'm like trying to think of those that, like, you know, first year when it was really hard. I think stick with it. I think you're going to have some really challenging days in the beginning. And I think kind of your idea of what it's going to be like, it's probably going to be very different than what it's actually like. And to really stick with it, I think the best thing for me is finding a support group of other BCBAs, whether it's people that you went to school with, whether it's your coworkers, whether it's professors. It's so great to have that group that knows what you're going with every day. It's such a unique field. And so to be able to reach out, hey, I had a really tough day. How was your day? Or, hey, I'm struggling with, running a toilet training procedure. Got any ideas? Having that in your back pocket and as a tool is really, really helpful. So I think if you can have that, stick it out, and stay strong through those challenging days, that's the best advice I can give.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if people have any like follow-up questions about your specific role or your past, do you mind if I share your email address?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.